Welcome to the ChemWall Advanced series. This is a quantum chemistry built for master's level students and for aspirants preparing for CSIR NET and GATE Chemical Sciences. Over the next several sections, we'll move from postulates of quantum mechanics through the exactly solvable model systems into approximate models and finish with molecular quantum chemistry. The same sequence most standard syllabi follows, and the same order these topics tends to appear in exams. So, part 1, we begin with foundation where classical mechanics broke down and the postulates that quantum mechanics puts in its place. Everything later in this deck, the particle in a box, the hydrogen atom, molecular orbitals, is built directly on these postulates. So it's worth taking them slowly. Failure of classical mechanics. Four classic experiments broke classical physics. Black body radiation. Classical theory predicted infinite energy at short wavelength, the so-called ultraviolet catastrophe, until Planck proposed that energy is emitted in discrete packets E equals n hnu. The photoelectric effect showed that ejecting an electron depends on the frequency of light, not its intensity, which Einstein explained by treating light itself as quantized photons. Kinetic energy equals nu minus h nu minus the work function phi. Atomic line spectra, the sharp, discrete lines in hydrogen's emission spectrum, made no sense for that electron classical spiraling into the nucleus while radiating continuously, and the heat capacity of solid deviates from the classical Dulong Pettit value of 3R at a low temperature, which only quantized vibrational modes can explain. Together, these four failures are exactly why quantum mechanics was needed, and CSIRNet loves testing these which experiment demonstrate which failure. Wave particle duality and de Broglie. In 1924, de Broglie proposed that if light, a wave, can behave like a particle, then particles should also behave like a should have a correct wave character. His relation lambda equals h over p assigns a wavelength to any moving mass. This was confirmed experimentally by Davison and Germer, who observed electrons diffracting off a nickel crystal exactly as a wave would. This wave behavior is also the root of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. Delta times delta p is at least h bar over 2 because a wave doesn't have a single sharply defined position and momentum at once. For chemistry, the consequences is profound. Electrons can no longer be pictured as tiny orbiting balls. They must be described by wave functions. Expect numerical question asking you to calculate the de Broglie wavelength of electron accelerated through a given voltage. Postulates of quantum mechanics 1. The first postulate says that a system state a system's state is completely described by a wave function capital psi or r and t, which must be single valued, continuous, square integrable. The Born interpretation gives his wave function physical meaning, the modulus squared integrated over a small volume gives the probability of finding the particle there. Psi itself is not directly observable because prob- probability must sum to 1. We normalize the integral of mod psi squared over all space equals 1. The second postulate connects observable to mathematics. Every measurable quantity, energy, momentum, position is represented by a linear Hamiltonian operator acting on psi. Take note on the standard of the standard operator forms of a positions, momentum, and the Hamilton. On the right, these are used repeatedly in later derivations. The third postulate, measuring an observable always yields one of eigenvalues of its operator from the eigenvalue equation a hash psi equals a at psi equals a psi. When the system isn't in an eigenstate, the fourth postulate gives us the expectation value, the average result over many measurement as the integral of psi star a hat psi. The fifth postulate governs time evolution through a time-dependent Schrodinger equation, which will which we'll look at properly in a moment. Finally, the superior superposition principle, any linear combination of valid quantum state is itself a valid state. This is what allows electron to exist. This is what allows electron to exist in mixture of basis states, and it underlies everything from resonance in valence bond theory to linear combination of atomic orbital and molecular orbital theory. Operators, hermeticity, and commutators. Quantum mechanical operators must be linear. They distribute over sums and scalar multiples because that's what makes the superposition principle mathematically consistent. Physically meaningful operation must also be Hermitian. Hermitian. The integral of a psi 1 star a hat psi 2 must be equal to the integral of a hat psi 1 star psi 2. Hermeticity guarantees two things you use constantly. Eigenvalues are always real, essential since measured quantities must be real numbers, and eigenfunctions belonging to different eigenvalues are orthogonal. The commuters of two operators a hat b hat minus b hat a hat tells us whether both observable can be known simultaneously. If it's zero, yes. If not, an uncertainty relation applies between them. The canonical example is a position and momentum x hat p hat x equals I h bar. This single relation is algebraic origin of Heisenberg uncertainty principle, and it's a favorite short answer question. Now comes the equation, the most important, the Schrodinger equation. The time dependent Schrodinger equation is quantum mechanics equation of motion. IH bar times the partial derivative of psi with respect to time equals h bar psi. When the potential doesn't depend on time, we can separate variables, writing psi of r and t as psi of r times an exponential phase factor, which, which reduces the problem to time independent Schrodinger equation. H hat psi equals E psi, an eigen value equation for energy. Solution of the TISE are called stationary states. Their probability density doesn't change in time, even though the wave function itself carries a phase that oscillates Almost everything in the rest of this deck, particle in a box, harmonic oscillator, rigid rotor, hydrogen atom, is really just solving the TISE for a different potential V. Physically acceptable solutions must be finite, single valued, and continuous. It's precisely these boundaries conditions that force energy to be quantized. Part 2. Part 2. Exactly solvable model system. With the postulates and the Schrodinger equation established, we move to handful of problems that can be solved exactly. The particle in a box tunneling, the harmonic oscillator, the rigid rotor. These aren't just textbook toys, they are literal quantum mechanical basis for translational, vibrational, and rotational spectroscopy. Particle in one dimensional box. Picture a particle completely confined between two infinitely high walls, a distance L apart, with zero potential energy in between. Solving the Schrodinger equation with these boundary conditions give a sine wave solution. Psi n of x equals root 2 over L. Sine of n pi x over L, where n is a positive integer. The chart on this slide shows the first three of these wave functions. Notice that n equals 1 has no interior nodes, n equals 2 has 1, and n equals 3 has 2. The number of nodes is always n minus 1. The loud energies are quantized. En equals n squared h squared over 8 m L squared. Even the lowest state, n equals 1, has energy greater than 0. This is 0 point energy, a direct and testable consequence of the uncertainty principle. Since a particle confined to a box can never perfectly at rest. Particle in a 3D box and degeneracy, extending the box to three dimensions. The Hamiltonian separates cleanly into independent x, y, and z problems. So the total wave function is simply a product of three one-dimensional solution, and the total energy is their sum. Now labeled by three quantum numbers nx, ny, and nz. The interesting physics shows up in a cubic box where all three sides length are equal. Different combination of quantum numbers can give exactly the same total energy. For example, the states 112, 121, and 211 are degenerate. Three different wave functions sharing one energy level. This is called degeneracy, and its recurring theme throughout quantum chemistry from atomic orbital to molecular vibration. Quantum tunneling. Classically, if a particle energy E is less than a barrier height V0, it simply cannot cross. Quantum mechanically, the wave function doesn't drop to zero at the barrier. It decays exponentially inside it and can emerge on the other side with reduced but non zero amplitude. This is tunneling. The transmission coefficient falls off exponentially with both the barriers width. The square root of V0 minus E. So thin, low barriers are tunneled through far more easily than thick, high ones. This isn't theoretical, it explains the inversion of ammonia through the umbrella shaped barrier, hydrogen transfer in enzyme active sites, and the entire operating principle of the scanning tunneling microscope. On the nuclear side, alpha decay of radioactive nuclei is a textbook tunneling problem. The alpha particle tunnels out throughout the nuclear potential barrier. The harmonic oscillator. The harmonic oscillator models a vibrating bond as a mass of a spring with a parabolic potential 1 half k into 1 half k squared. Solving the Schrodinger equation gives evenly spaced energy levels. EV equals V plus 1 half times h nu, shown in the bar chart, where each level is exactly 1 h nu above the last, unlike the particles in a box, where spacing grows within. Even the ground state V equals 0 carries energy of 1 half h nu, the vibrational zero point energy, meaning a molecule is never truly motionless, even at absolute zero. The wave function themselves involve Hermite polynomial, Hermite polynomial multiplying a Gaussian envelope, and a psi V has exactly V nodes. For infrared spectroscopy, the harmonic selection rule is delta V equals plus or minus 1, and a transition is only IR active if the vibration changes the molecule dipole moment. The rigid rotor and rotational spectroscopy. The rigid rotor models a diatomic molecule as two-point masses held at a fixed separation rotating about their center of mass. Solving this gives quantized rotational energy levels. Ej equals B, J times J plus 1, where B is a rotational constant, h bar squared over twice the moment of inertia. The bar chart shows how spacing between successive J levels grows 2B, 4B, 6B, and so on. On distinctive fingerprints, you'll recognize its rotational spectra. Each level J is 2J plus one fold, degenerate, corresponding to different orientation of angular momentum in space. For a molecule to show a pure rotational microwave region spectrum, it must possess a permanent dipole moment and transition obey the selection rule delta J equals plus or minus 1. Angular momentum operator. Angular momentum in quantum mechanics is described by three operators Lx, Ly, Lz, and critically they don't commute with each other. So you can never know all three components precisely and simultaneously. What does commute with Lz is L squared, the total angular momentum squared, and because they share eigenfunction, the spherical harmonics y Lm, we can know the magnitude of angular momentum and one component simultaneously. This gives us two quantum number L. The orbital angular momentum quantum number running 0, 1, 2, or so on, and m the magnetic quantum number running from minus L to plus L in integer steps. That's 2L plus 1 allowed values for each L. This is exactly the mathematics that reappears unchanged when we solve the angular part of the hydrogen atom in the next section. Now let's talk about the part 3, the hydrogen atom and multi-electron system. The hydrogen atom is the only real atom that can be solved exactly, and it sets the template, quantum numbers, orbital and degeneracy for every atom after it. From there we move into multi-electron system where exact solutions are no longer possible. New ideas like spin and antisymmetry becomes essential. The hydrogen atom setup and quantum number. The hydrogen atom's Hamilton has two pieces: the electron's kinetic energy and its Coulomb's attraction to the nucleus. Switching to spherical polar coordinates makes the problem separable. So the total wave function factors into a radial part r and L of r and an angular part ylm of theta and phi. And that angular part is mathematically identical to the rigid rotor problem we just covered. Three quantum numbers emerge n. The principal quantum number 1, 2, 3, and onwards. L running from 0 up to n, 1, and m running from -1 minus L to plus L. The energy bar chart shows the striking results. En equals minus 13.6 electron volt over n squared. Energy depends only on n, not on L or m. This is called accidental degeneracy, unique to the pure 1 over r Coulomb potential, and it means every value of n has n squared degenerate states. The hydrogen atom orbitals and wave function. The radial function R and L is built from associated Laguerre polynomials, and it controls how electron density varies with distance from nucleus. A very testable counting rule follows directly from N and L. The total number of nodes is N minus 1 split into L angular modes and N minus L minus 1 radial nodes. The angular function y L m is what actually gives a orbital. The familiar shapes spherical for S, dumbbell for P, clover leaf or donut shaped for D. One subtlety worth remembering, the radial distribution function 4 pi r squared times r squared is not the same as the mod psi squared itself. Mod psi squared for an s orbital actually peaks at the nucleus, while the radial distribution function peaks at some finite radius because it also accounts for growing volume of each spherical shell. Or as r increases, electron spin and Pauli's exclusion principle. Spin is an intrinsic form of angular momentum that doesn't come from solving the non-relativistic Schrodinger equation at all. It emerges naturally from Dirac's relativistic treatments. For an electron, the spin quantum number is always one half. Spin operators s squared SZ behaves mathematical, just like their orbital angular momentum counterparts with eigenvalues and s times s plus 1 h bar squared ms h bar, where ms is plus or minus 1 half. The Pauli's exclusion principle in its familiar form says no two electrons in an atom can share four quantum numbers N, L, M, and S. But the deeper, more general statement is that total electronic wave function must be antisymmetric under the exchange of any two electrons. Since electrons are fermions, the antisymmetric requirement is exactly what we'll use to justify Slater determinants a little later. Now we'll come to fourth part 4, which is approximation method. Outside outside of the handful of problems we have just covered, the Schrodinger equation for real atoms and molecules cannot be solved exactly. This section covers the two workhorse approximation methods, the variation theorem and the perturbation theory, that makes essentially all the practical quantum chemistry possible. The variation theorem. The variation theorem and its applications. The variation theorem is remarkably powerful for any normalized, well behaved trial wave function phi. The expectation value of Hamilton is always greater than or equal to the true ground state energy E0. That inequality gives us a practical strategy: build a trial function with adjustable parameters, then minimize its energy with respect to those parameters. The lower the energy you reach, the closer you are to the true ground state. When the trial function is written as a linear combination of basis function minimization leads to a set of secular equation, and this linear variation method is not coincidentally the exact mathematical foundation of LCAO molecular orbital theory, which we'll return to later. A classic worked example is the helium atom, using hydrogen like 1s orbital but letting the nuclear charge Z effective float as the variational parameter gives a dramatically better ground state energy than simply plugging in Z equals 0. Perturbation theory, first and second order. Perturbation theory takes a different strategy, split the true Hamilton into a solvable unperturbed part H0 plus a small perturbation H prime, because we already know the exact eigenfunctions eigenstates of H0. We can build correction to them systematically. The first order energy correction is simply the average value of the perturbation over the unperturbated state, usually the dominant contribution. The second order correction is more subtle. It sums contribution from every other unperturbed state k weighed by the square of the coupling matrix element and divided by the energy gap to that state. States close in energy contribute much more strongly than distant ones. The whole approach only works well when the perturbation genuinely small. Compared to the energy level, spacing in H0, push it too far, and the series coverage slowly or not at all. Perturbation theory applications. Four applications are worth knowing cold. The enharmonic oscillator adds cubic and quartic terms to the harmonic potential. Treated perturbatively, this is what explains bond association, overtone bands, and why vibrational level converge at high V instead of staying evenly spaced forever. The helium ground state treats the electron repulsion term as a perturbation on top of two independent hydrogen like electrons, improving to the crude non interacting estimate. The Stark effect describes how an external electric field shifts atomic energy levels. Hydrogen is unusual in showing a first order linear star effect purely because of this accidental L degeneracy, while almost every other atom shows only the smaller second order quadratic effect. CSIR net and GATE both like to test the helium perturbative energy expression and whether you can correctly identify a first order versus second order corrections from a given scenario. Multi electron atoms and Slater determinants. The simplest approach to a multi electron atom is the orbital approximation. Assign each electron to its own one electron spin orbital and multiply them together. The problem is that simple product isn't antisymmetric, so it violates the Pauli's principle. Is to the fix is to write the total wave function as a Slater determinant of a spin orbitals because swapping two electrons means swapping two rows of determinants which automatically flips its sign. Antisymmetric is granted for free. The independent practice which still misses two real effects: electron correlation, the the instantaneous repulsion between electrons that the average field picture smooths over and exchange energy, which actually lowers the energy configuration with parallel spins. This is the quantum mechanical origin of a Hund's rule. Multi-electron states are ultimately labeled by term symbol 2s plus 1 L j built from the total spin s, total orbital angular momentum L, and total angular momentum j, with the ground state term identified using Hund's rule. The self-consistent field. Hartree-Fock method. Hartree-Fock theory tackles the many body problems with clever simplification. Instead of tracking instantaneous electron-electron repulsion exactly, each electron is treated as moving in the average smeared out field created by all the other electrons on the nucleus because that average field itself depend on the orbital we are trying to find. The calculation has to be solved iteratively. Guess a set of orbitals, build the effective field they create, solve for improved orbitals, and repeat until the field and the orbital stop changing, which is what self-consistent means. This produces the Hartree-Fock equation: F hat I P phi I equals. I repeated. This produces the Hartree-Fock equation: F hat I equals eps- epsilon I phi I, where the Fock operator F hat bundles together the Coulomb and exchange interactions. Koopman's theorem approximate let us approximate ionization energies directly from these orbital energies, and in practice the orbitals themselves are expanded in Slater type or Gaussian type basis function. The STOs and GTOs you will see referred in computational chemistry software. Part 5: Molecular Quantum Chemistry. In the final section, we move from atoms to molecules, starting with how we justify separating nuclear and electronic motion at all, and finishing with how molecular orbitals are actually built from atomic ones to describe chemical bonding. The Born Oppenheimer approximation. Nuclear are thousands of times heavier than electrons, so they move far more slowly. The Born Oppenheimer approximation exploits this mass difference. Electrons are treated as responding instantaneous to any nuclear position, so the total molecular wave function factorized into an electronic part solved or fixed nuclear geometry are multiplied by a nuclear part describing vibration and rotation on the resulting potential. Solving the electronic problem at many different values of R traces out a potential energy surface, which is foundation for everything we know about molecular vibration, rotational spectroscopy, and reaction pathways. The approximation does break down, though particularly near conical intersections and wherever vibronic coupling becomes significant. Situations where electronic and nuclear motions can no longer be pulled apart. Then comes the molecular orbital theory, LCAOMO, LACAOMO, we can say that. The linear combination of atomic orbital approach builds molecular orbital directly from atomic ones. Psi equals Ca phi a plus Cb phi b. When two atomic orbitals combine in a phase, same sign coefficient, negative, same sign coefficient, you get a bonding orbital. Sigma lower energy with electron density concentrated between the nuclei. Combine them out of phase and you get an anti-bonding orbital sigma star higher in energy with a node between the nuclei, shown in the energy level diagram on this side, with the two atomic 1s level flanking the split bonding and the anti-bonding molecular levels. Bond order is calculated as 1/2 times the number of bonding electrons minus antibonding electrons. This simple formula correctly predicts that H2 plus with the 1 electron in sigma is a stable species with the bond order 1/2, while He2, which would have to fill both sigma star, has a bond order 0, doesn't form stable bond at all. Valence bond theory versus molecular orbital theory. These are two major bonding theories, and exam questions love contrasting them directly. Valence bond theory keeps atoms largely intact, forming a bond through overlap of atomic orbitals with paired electron spins. Bonding electrons stay localized between two specific atoms, and delocalization has to be passed in afterward through resonance structure. Molecular orbital theory instead combines atomic orbitals into molecular orbitals that are delocalized over the entire molecule. From the start, this difference has a very concrete consequence. Valence bond theory struggles to explain the paramagnetism of molecular oxygen, while molecular orbital theory predicts it immediately and correctly from two unpaired electrons sitting in degenerate pi star antibonding orbitals. Valence bond theory tends to emphasize hybridization sp, sp2, sp3, while molecular orbital theory emphasizes the energy ordering of bonding antibodies and non bonding orbitals. CSIR and GATE high yield topics as you revise, prioritize by return on efforts. Numerical questions on particle in a box, energies, harmonic oscillator, 0 point energy, and hydrogen atom transitions. Energy shows up in nearly every recent paper, so make sure you can do the calculation quickly and without a mistake. On the conceptual side, node counting, degeneracy argument, proving hermicity, or evaluating a commutator, and spectroscopy selection rules are asked again and again in slightly different disguises. Watch for two classic points of confusion: variation theorem versus perturbation theory. Remember, variation needs no small parameter, perturbation does. And valence bond versus molecular orbital production for bond order and magnetism. Finally, expect applied questions linking von Oppenheimer to potential energy surfaces and slatter determinants to the Pauli's principle, often in match the following or short answer format. Quick revision formula sheet. This slide is a one-page summary for every energy expression covered in this deck: particle in a box, harmonic oscillator, rigid rotor, hydrogen atom, angular momentum, eigenvalues, the variation theorem, inequality and the first order perturbation correction. Use it as your final revision pass before an exam. But make sure each formula is something you can also drive, not just recall. That completes quantum chemistry in ChemWorld Advanced Series. The next release in the series will cover chemical kinetics and group theory for chemists. Thank you for studying with ChemWorld. Find more content on YouTube. Thank you.